Welcome to BUEI Talks, Island SOS. I'm William Campbell, your host for today's presentation. This 8-part series focuses on innovative sustainable ocean development initiatives in island nations around the globe. Each presentation will cover a different island and a different topic. It will highlight the unique perspective and involvement that islands have on ocean conservation, and they will showcase the different practices that islands have undertaken to safeguard their surrounding ocean. BUEI appreciates the generous support of Chubb Bermuda, the exclusive sponsor of this series. Island SOS aligns with Chubb's mission to promote a healthy and sustainable planet, to strengthen the resilience of communities, and to protect biodiversity against the effects of climate change. Today is our final Sustainable Ocean Strategy presentation, and it centers on the work undertaken by the Azores through the Azores Destination Marketing Organization, or the DMO, and the Regional Science and Technology Fund. The Azores are the first archipelago in the world to achieve international certification of sustainable development and destination by an entity accredited by the Global Council for Sustainable Tourism. Today we've got two representatives. They are Carolina Mendonça, coordinator of the Azores DMO, and Luz Paramio, a board member of the Regional Science and Technology Fund. Please join me in welcoming Carolina and Luz.
Hello.
Hi.
Good afternoon. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for the invitation and for the opportunity to be here to present the Azores as a sustainable destination.
Thank you so much for the invitation. We are ready for present you our case.
Thank you so much, guys. And just before we get into the presentation that you guys have for us for today, I just wanted to ask you if you could tell us both a little bit about yourselves, about how you've come into the work that you're doing, and if you could tell us a little bit about the makeup of the organizations of the DMO and the Regional Science and Technology Fund.
Well, about the work of the DMO, I will speak about it during my presentation a little more in detail, but we basically are a structure that facilitates sustainable development in the Azores using tourism as a catalyst for that sustainable development. I have always searched for a work with purpose where I can put my mission into the work that I do. So this is something that I love doing. And apart from that, I graduated in tourism and have a master in business and administration. So I basically got both together, and I'm doing something that I also love. And we both me and Luz, we work for the local government, so we collaborate in different projects. Luz?
Yes. In our case, we are the Regional Science and Technology Fund. Is under the vice presidents of the Azores government. We are working with available funds in research and innovation, especially. And we work and support the other departments of the government of the Azores in these areas. In the case of the regional fund, we coordinate several projects linked to the ocean, especially marine biodiversity, marine spatial planning, and regional development. So for us, it's a mission, as you know, and Carolina probably will present us, which is the vision for the Azores and a common vision for all islands in the world. Is about our sustainability. So we work on that in these principles. And personally, I'm oceanographer in basis, but the life goes for different ways. And my personal background is PhD on ocean governance and economics, but now I'm in the directive board with this direction of programs and projects to financing research and innovation.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. If I can turn the floor over now to Carolina.
Sorry?
If I can turn the floor over to you now.
Yes, I will just share my screen then. Please let me know if you can see my screen. Can you see my screen?
Yes, we can.
Okay. So, as I was saying, the Azores DMO is a structure that, and by the way, it's destination management organization, because we are doing this sustainable management of all the archipelago. So I would like to start with where we are. So the Azores are 9 islands, an archipelago in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean, and we are one of the 2 archipelagos of the mainland. We belong to Portugal. We are one of the outermost regions of Europe, and we have more or less 250,000 inhabitants. And we have a territorial dispersion that is related to the size of our islands. So I live in the largest island, which is São Miguel, and has about 120,000 inhabitants. And then you have the smallest islands with no more than 400 inhabitants. And that's, as you can imagine, brings us many challenges that we face. So not everyone has the same access to education or health services, and transportation and accessibilities are also a challenge. So the only way to get to the Azores is by airplane. So you can, of course, take a boat, but you will take much longer. So, okay. The Azores have also a very good traced path. We are a destination that has always privileged sustainable practices, and these are just some of those practices. For instance, almost 40% of the electric energy produced in the Azores have origin in renewable resources. We have very good measures for solid waste, for greenhouse gases, and the proof of that are the many prizes that we have already achieved, such as UNESCO Biosphere, and also the Geopark Azores. And so, because of all of that, the Azores archipelago are today characterized as an exuberant, exclusive, and sustainable nature tourist destination, where we offer a wide range of unique outdoor activities, both on land and sea, where the tourists can experience authentic and immersive experiences, whether that be in the gastronomy, the participation with the local population, with the local community. And we have here, of course, a product with added value. Why we decided to certify the Azores? Because since 2015, in which we opened the airspace to low-cost companies, we started to see a new cycle for the tourism development in the Azores. So we can see in 2019, it was like this huge peak of overnight stays. Of course, this cycle was interrupted by the pandemic situation in 2020, but we are very optimistic with the economic recovery of the sector, because we feel that we are very well positioned as a sustainable tourism destination. And the latest reports of Booking.com clearly state that tourists want to travel to sustainable destinations and want to pick tourism lodges, for instance, that have sustainable best practices. So the Azores DMO works as a catalyst structure for sustainable development. We are involving all the members of our society, being them governments, local community, the tourism industry, non-governmental organizations, tourists, experts, everyone together to promote and contribute to sustainable development. We have many working groups. We have one green team in each island. We also have groups that are constituted only by public entities. And we basically want those groups to contribute to sustainable sustainable best practices, where we have these documents, basically the sustainability action plan for the destination, where we have all the metrics and objectives and actions that will promote the sustainability of the archipelago, and also a risk assessment. But all these documents are in our website, sustainable.azores.gov.pt, and you can consult them. So we wanted to make sure that everyone is part of the process. So that is why we've also created another project, which is called the Sustainability Charter of the Azores. This is a project that was born in 2017, and we integrated all the private entities on board towards sustainable development. So every entity that voluntarily wants to subscribe to the charter just has to comply with 3 goals that are aligned with the Sustainable Development Goals of the Agenda 2030. The project began in 2017 with only 45 subscribing entities, and now we have more than 200 subscribing entities and more than 800 commitments. So to promote that, we are giving workshops, capacity sessions in all islands, involving all the private entities and also public entities in aligning their value chain with the sustainable development goals. And then they have SMART goals to achieve every year. So because of all this work, we are now the first archipelago in the world to achieve silver certification under GSTC criteria, the first and only archipelago in the world like this. But sustainability, it's not an end in itself. It's not, so we must keep doing this work, and that is why we are working to achieve the third level, of the silver certification, and we want to achieve gold certification on 2024. So just to wrap up, in order to be a sustainable and responsible and smart destination, we need to measure to manage. So we collect lots of data every year so that the decision makers can make informed decisions about the sustainable goals. We need to involve stakeholders in the decision making with providing these data. We need to monitor every year the progress of the projects and actions, and constantly evaluate the success of the proposed solutions. So thank you very much. By the way, this is the islet of Vila Franca, and is one of the protected areas in São Miguel Island in the Azores. Oh, now I will stop sharing my screen. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you so much, Carolina. We'd like to pass over to Luz.
Hi again. Thank you, Carolina. Regarding a little bit about the framework that Carolina present us, from our side, from the ocean side and the ocean governance and marine area, as you know, Azores in this moment lives a crucial moment on growth, especially in tourism. So we need to articulate all activities that are very related with tourism. As you know, in Iceland, every sector are coastal sector, because we are very small territory. We are very near of the coastal of the ocean areas, and in the case of the Azores, our waters, the 19% of our waters are very, very deep. So all activities are concentrated in the coastal areas. So this dynamic that the DMO creates here in Azores arise several conscientious and several issues that put the term sustainability in all economic sectors. In the case of the blue economy, if we can adapt the concept, the big concept of the blue economy to the islands, our enterprise has addressed this concept, and some of them, Carolina said, are certificated, and so we would like to have in mind that we need to growth. Of course, this is our dilemma, to growth, but always in sustainability way. In our case, I don't know if I can share a little bit the screen with you, because I'm going to give you the perspective of the ocean. Let me see if I can. Okay. Let's try. Sorry for the technical details. Okay. Sorry. Okay. Are you can you see?
We can indeed. Yes, thank
Paul?
you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Regarding the ocean perspective, of course, we have to have in mind the people that lives in the islands, because it's very different to see the island outside as a tourist, but we need to see the island inside, you know. So we need to try to approach the international ocean governance issues that all island and all coastal states has, like the endogenous, the biodiversity, the healthy, the plastic problems, all problems that the ocean face, but having in mind our dimension. So how we can to approach to the ocean be a driver for regional development, how we can to introduce the concept of sustainability in the tourism and in all sectors related with the resources of the islands, as fisheries or other resources that we can have, because we have in the middle of the ocean. As you know, we have in the Atlantic ridge, we have in the middle of three tectonic plates, European, African, and American plates. So we are in very seismic and volcanic areas, very dispersed. As Carolina says, we have three groups. We have the Oriental group with two islands, San Miguel and Santa Maria. We have the central part of the group that we have a very closely islands that has a very nice dynamic in terms of torrents and maritime torrents. And we have in the other side, in the American plate, Flores and Corfu, that are a little bit isolated. So we have a double isolation in the Azores. We have a very important coastal line because the Azores has a very particular coastal line, and our most the unique geological feature is especially our deep waters that I said you. The majority of our waters are very deep, more than 1,000 of meters. Well, as you know, we have other challenge that we make face. That is the extension of the continental shelf. So we Azores has responsibility in the waters, Azorian waters, but it's a state issue. However, we are very interested in terms of resources, because we are going to gain 4 million of kilometers squares in terms of extension, maritime extension. So we are very interesting point, not only for tourism, but only for research and geopolitical reasons. Sorry. So we have a very important cultural and heritage based on the whale washing, that we are going to see how these whale washing are going to the past reconversion for whale washing. That is very interesting, this cultural and heritage. We have a very strong fishery sector, especially for tuna. We have a very important research and knowledge sector in the ocean now, and we are very we have with all attentions for the research centers in the Atlantic. We have a very important coastal system, but it's a very vulnerable coastal system. We have a maritime structures and defense. Regarding the leisure, this is the new sector, the new service that we have for tourism, and we have transport and marine conservation. We have other future uses, but we don't have yet here in Azores, the energy exploration. Okay, we have a very challenge that is related with the mineral resources. That this is the reason because we have a marine protect park. Our waters are protected by a marine park. However, we need to enforce the law and the implementation. We have a lot of marine protect areas, also outside of the national waters. As Carolina explained a little bit before, we have a process of planning very interesting for protect areas, also territorial. We have 13 Ramsar areas classified in the Azores, that were also marine areas. That was a very huge deadline or target that we raised several years ago. And of course, our specialty in this moment is the nature from the ocean. So we have the whale washing services, we have the swimming with the whale fauna, also with sharks, with manta ray. We have also the charters with sails and other exploration and other sector related with diving, in instance. So new sustainable ocean business with new stakeholders. So we need a demand from tourists, but we need also a new enterprise that wants to innovate to provide sustainable service from the ocean. And we have a very interesting partnerships between these services, especially in the tourists. As I say before, we need to see, in our case, from the government side, from the people that are managed the Azores as tourists, that we need to think in the Islanders and how the Islanders see the opportunities and how the Islanders see sustainability. So we need, in this moment, to focus very active in transmit the concept of sustainability, to put in practice, and of course the work that DMO has done is very important for us, because create an internal dynamic, a local dynamic that go ahead for the sustainability. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Liz. That was really wonderful. I'm sure all of us here really learned a lot from that. Just before we turn over some questions too, I'd just like to know if there's anyone in the audience that would like to ask future presenters anything. Hey guys, I've got a couple of questions that I'd like to ask you guys. Just on the benefits of tourism marketing as well specifically, what are the potential benefits do you see around marketing tourism, specifically around sustainable development and around protection?
Well, as I said in one of the things is, as I said in my presentation, world reports, for instance, the Booking.com reports state that 80% of the tourists search for sustainable destination and accommodation when they travel. So we believe that we are we have a very good strategic position in order to respond to this demand. Another thing is to create benefits first and foremost for the residents, as Luz was saying. We need to focus. Sustainable tourism is about focusing first of all in the local residents and then on the tourists, because if you benefit the local residents and if you have a sustainable, in this case, archipelago, you will have sustainable tourism. So apart from that and focusing on marketing, we can have here a product with added value. So we want tourists that respect more the local communities and that leave more value, so that everyone can benefit from tourism. One of the things that we want to promote more is to mitigate the problems related to seasonality, and also to promote greater dispersion of tourists all along the 9 islands, because we tend to see that the tourists focus more to the biggest islands like São Miguel and Terceira, and we need them to go all around to the other islands, to the smallest islands, so that everyone can benefit from the tourism sector.
How would you see facilitating visitation between the other outlying islands as best being achieved?
How do I see what?
The facilitation of moving people to outlier islands that aren't necessarily as developed as San Miguel for tourism purposes?
Well, it's a big challenge, because one of the biggest challenges that we have is accessibility. And we have since last year, yes, I think it's since 2 years ago. No, since last year, we have improved internal tourism because of the accessibilities. All residents only pay 60 euros for whatever island they want to go, and that was really good for internal tourism. But of course, we need to facilitate this accessibility to tourists to the other islands as well. That's the way I see it. I don't know, Lush, if you want to add something to my answer.
Yes, a little bit. As you seen before, we have a very disparity and distance between the three groups. However, we for the all effort was putting in the link the islands, especially at internal level, but also for the outside for the tourism. It's curious because all islands offers different services, provide different services, and offers different experience destinations. So it's very interesting to have this kind of selection. And it's a very good question always with when a tourist or a friend that wants to arrive here in terms of sustainability and to see the islands, always ask which islands we need to choose. And of course, this is the we need to understand that different experience, we have different experience in different islands. This is very interesting also internally.
Yes, that's a really good point, Lush. So every island has like their its own authenticity, its own very genuine products and services, and special offers for special tourists. So this is one of the things that we are going to promote as well and work on.
To what degree is for the makeup of the tourism industry around the Azores, do islands individually propose plans for their own development in the community, or is there a larger plan in place?
Both. So the Azores DMO works as a facilitator, and as we have these green teams in each island, we identified the specific problems of each island, and then involving the local municipalities, NGOs, chambers of commerce, the tourism representative in that island. We challenged them to come up with solutions and concrete actions to improve the problems related in that island. So we have a sustainable action plan in each island for each green team, and then we have the more broad, let's say, action plan. You can consult all the actions in our website. So the most broad one, it's about another working group. This working group is constituted by public entities. So we basically took these problems to the public entities that have the power to do something about it, and said, okay, this is what is happening. What are you already doing to respond to these problems, or what do you plan to do to respond to these problems or mitigate them? So all of these actions are now integrated in the sustainability action plan, and they are smart. They are specific measurable, attainable, realistic, and time-framed. So every year we monitor those actions, and we create a sustainability report to say how successful the implementation of the measures are being.
And if I could just ask as well, just on the point of those green teams themselves are responsible for the data collection around how the initiatives are progressing. And
If the green teams are what? Sorry.
if the green teams are responsible for reviewing and collecting data and information on the progression of those initiatives.
Yes, of those initiatives, yes. The Azores DMO is responsible for collecting the data for all the region. I can give you examples: energy efficiency, fuel, waste treatment, wastewater treatment as well. All the indicators for the region, we collect it. Yes, every year. And I think it's important to say as well that after collecting those data, we upload it to EarthCheck platform, and EarthCheck has its own formulas in which it results in a benchmarking report. So then we can see the Azores sustainable progress compared to other certified destinations. And EarthCheck status a baseline. So the Azores destination can be either above or under this baseline, or also we can be above the performance of other destinations. When that happens, we achieve a best practice. And this is really important too, because we can clearly see the destination performance, and then take this data to the decision makers that will make informed decisions about what they need to do, so that we can improve this metrics and the framework of our destination. Yeah.
And you'd mentioned that that the Azores is the first island, an archipelago rather, to have this certification. What are the other kind of main hurdles that you guys would see towards other islands and other archipelagos pursuing these same goals? And if I wondered also if you could give us a couple of other examples of other nations that might have the same certifications.
Yes, I can give you the example of Iceland. There is a small region called Snæfellsnes. I never know how to how to say that. We have other two small regions in Portugal mainland, which is Baião and Melgaço. We also have a small region in New Zealand called Rottnest. And we also have a region in Mexico, which is called Huatulco. And I don't know by heart all of them, of course. One of the things that I believe we are lucky about is that, well, not lucky, it was about the local strategy, is that we are really recent in tourism, and there are many destinations that have to take a step back and say, okay, let's stop a little bit now, because we grew too fast in tourism. And now they have to take a step back and reframe their tourism strategy to become a more sustainable destination. As we opened the airspace only in 2015 to low-cost companies, we started to see this really rapid growth since then. And other destinations saw this really rapid growth many years ago. So we are a recent tourism destination in that sense, of course.
And just on that note too, how would you encourage sustainable growth in a new tourism industry in communities without an existing tourism basis?
I believe that first and foremost, it must be a commitment from the government, from the local government. That's how we've done it here. So first we need to commit, and then we need everyone to work for that commitment. So to do that, we come up with two mottos. One of them is that sustainability is only effective if it is a collaborative process. So this is why we constituted the DMO, and the DMO has these different working groups that belong to the DMO. So any destination would need to create also these working groups to work together towards the same direction. And then the data collection. This is how you get smarter. And take this data to all the stakeholders that are contributing to this process. So first of all, commit so that you can have an orientation, a goal, a trace, and then bring everyone together on that same course.
Absolutely. Seeing recently a much larger degree of attention being paid towards sustainability and development, there's been quite a degree of concern recently around the idea of greenwashing. How would you see, appreciating that the DMO in your work is working to be as accountable and transparent as it can be, how would you work to prevent issues of greenwashing from arising within certification groups such as these?
Well, first of all, I think it's important to get informed, because there are lots and lots of labels today, and there are credible labels and least credible labels. We are very credible. Why? Because this entity that certifies us is accredited according to a global organization called GSTC, Global Sustainable Tourism Council, that created this global framework for what it is sustainable tourism, and created the criteria for sustainable tourism. And then this global organization accredits entities to certify destinations. And they only have 3 entities that can certify destinations: EarthCheck, Video, and Green Destinations. So first of all, get informed about all these labels. Another thing, I think, it's to communicate in a humble way. We can never say that, okay, we are a sustainable destination and that is our goal and we have finished our job here. We must be humble in a way that we say, no, we have many problems here. This is an ongoing process, and we are committed to improvement. This is how you talk about sustainability, is where you commit to improvement and you show it. And how you can show it? By data. So this is what tourists need to look for. Just to wave a green flag and say we are sustainable, that's not very sustainable. You need to show me the money.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Caroline, as well. And Liz, if I could ask as well, just before we begin to close out, if I could ask just if you have any recommendations or key core takeaways that you would make for other islands and for other folks seeking to engineer sustainable tourism within their own communities.
Well, you know that this process of the DMO during sustainability, for me, for my personal experience, previous experience in management and environmental management and ocean management, represents a very huge target and very huge dynamic, because it's the first territorial governance vector to mobilize, and not only to mobilize, but also to the people and the community understand what is sustainability, especially when I say community includes policymaking, researchers, there are a lot of researchers that works in Azores in several areas related to tourism, okay, but they don't understand very well the concept of sustainability, okay, in a wide and practical way, maybe. So we have smart tourings. We in Europe, I don't know in other places, but in Europe we believe we live very much with the new fashion words of the policy. And we have here, of course, it's a very interesting approach. It's the Green Deal and green targets, and we need to use this concept to delimitate financing and to delimitate policies to achieve results. So in our case, the people can understand what means sustainability. But we need to put all fashions, the words, and all concepts and all movements for green transition, to Green Deal, to green destiny, quality destiny, in the same place, in the same bag, you know. And the DMO gets these concepts to put together in this certification. And what's incredible, if you can see here inside, to see, I stay here for 20 years in Azores and working in planning, always also ecotourism planning. So to see the work that they are going to do now, they are doing, it's very interesting because we have here all community involved: policymakers, researchers, industry, business, small business. That is very interesting because sometimes the small business in the islands are very small business. Okay, so explain the people that stay in other island that lives completely in a sustainable way, that what is sustainability is every day of them, you know. So this is very interesting, these cases of experience. So first of all, I would like to congratulate Carolina by the excellent work and for the DMO team. That is a marvelous team. But it's true that they are going to do things, you know, and this is very important. And it's very important also in these small islands, because for us it's very important the other islands, because give us this experience of cultural heritage, you know, and we need to understand very well this sustainability and this island sustainability. So let's see if we can implement these indicators and this progress and these plans that we have for the next years. It's an on progress work, of course.
Well, I
Exactly.
certainly hope there are a lot of policymakers and other members of the community listening right now. I think all of us can stand to learn a great deal from you too.
Thank you very much. And thank you so much, Luce. You're doing a great work.
Welcome.
Thank you very much, Caroline and Luis, for sharing how the Azores has embedded sustainable ocean strategies as a way to protect your islands while driving tourism. It is our hope that your presentation today has inspired and encouraged some discussions throughout Bermuda and other island communities as well. So I'd also like to extend a thank you on to Chubb Bermuda, the sponsor of today's BUEI Island Talks SOS series. You can check out all of the BUEI Island Talks Island SOS series on CITV Bermuda and on our YouTube channel at the BUEI. I'm William Campbell, and I look forward to sharing a lot more exciting BUEI initiatives with you in the future. Thank you so much for joining us.